Welcome, curious minds, to the deep dive. Today, we're doing something a little different. A very special deep dive, really. It's a recap of the first month, the chaotic, frankly hilarious, and surprisingly insightful first month of a new energy blog and podcast called Third Way Energy. And for this one, well, consider me your guide from the trenches, because I'm the person who actually launched this wild experiment. So
Yeah.
we're pulling back the curtain, showing you what it actually takes to, build in public in the energy sector, sharing the lessons, the surprises, and how they can actually apply to your understanding of this whole rapidly changing industry.
Yeah, it's definitely a unique angle. I mean, we're not just looking at headlines today. We're getting the inside scoop, right? The messy human side of actually creating and analyzing energy stuff. So you should expect a mix of real insights, hopefully some actionable takeaways, but also, a good laugh about the reality of energy research and just getting stuff out there.
Okay, so let's unpack it. 4 weeks ago, Third Way Energy, it kicked off with, what I thought were pretty grand ambitions. Document everything, share all the data, build in public, transform the energy sector with radical transparency, all that jazz. And then, reality hit hard. Turns out, writing about energy while doing energy work, while also setting energy, it's kind of like trying to change a tire while the car's still moving.
Huh. That's a great analogy.
Right. I mean, is it possible? Maybe. Is it advisable? Definitely not. Fun to watch unfold, though. Absolutely.
Well, yeah, that really resonates because from the outside, these big projects, they often look so smooth, so seamless. But the reality, like you're saying, it involves just huge logistical challenges, practical hurdles, and actually sharing that messy process, being transparent about it like you are, that gives really invaluable context for anyone really trying something ambitious, whether it's a blog or, a massive energy project. It shows the real cost of that radical transparency idea.
Exactly. And speaking of fun to watch, let's dive into the first big surprise from month one, which was basically everyone's being a little too optimistic about capacity factors. Not like maliciously lying, but just really, really optimistic. So I published this analysis on solar variability, right? My inbox just exploded. The responses basically fell into 3 camps. First, you had the solar developer saying, oh yeah, our projects definitely hit 28% capacity factor, which, just for context, that's how much power it actually generates versus its maximum potential, right?
Sure.
Narrator, they didn't. Yeah. Then you had investors emailing, so that's why our returns suck. Okay, fair enough. And then inevitably, the random uncle chiming in, see, this is why nuclear is better. Thanks, Uncle Bob. Very helpful. But the best email, the most insightful, and honestly the funniest, came from a developer in Ghana. He actually sent me their generation data, their feasibility study, promised 26.5% capacity factor. Reality.
Let me guess. Lower.
Oh, yeah. A much humbler 19.8%. And his explanation. Get this. We used media norm P50 solar irradiance data because the consultant said it was close enough. P50 data, that's like the expected value exceeded 50% of the time. It's standard stuff, but close enough in energy modeling. That phrase is just chef's kiss. It sums up so much.
Wow, that's a really critical point. And it's definitely not just solar, is it? I mean, this gap between the theoretical models and what actually happens on the ground, it's everywhere in energy projects. So seeing how widespread this is, what do you think actually needs to change? Like methodologies, standards, what's the most urgent thing to fix so these projections get more realistic, especially with so much investment riding on them?
That's the million-dollar question, isn't it? We absolutely need more ground truth data, actual real-world performance stuff, and less reliance on these overly rosy models, which actually leads perfectly into surprise number 2. The BS detector people actually want. Remember that really elaborate solar dashboard I built? Interactive plots, super sophisticated analysis.
Vaguely. The one you spent ages on.
Ages. Yeah. Well, guess what? Nobody cares. Crickets. You know what actually went viral? This stupidly simple Excel formula. Ready? You 15%, check your assumptions, still probably wrong.
Yeah.
That's it. IRR, internal rate of return, project profitability. That simple formula got over 500 downloads. It was nuts. So the lesson this month was pretty fundamental. People don't always need or even want the super sophisticated models. Sometimes they just want simple tools that basically call out the BS, note to self, and maybe to you listening, build more BS detectors.
Okay, but if simplicity is what people grab onto for validation, is there a risk there? I mean, are we maybe oversimplifying really complex energy problems just to get quick answers? What's the downside if decision makers start relying too much on these BS detectors?
That's a totally fair challenge.
Yeah.
And yeah, the risk is definitely there. Oversimplification is always a danger. But I think the upside is accessibility, right? And immediate utility. It gets people thinking critically.
Yeah.
The goal isn't really to replace the deep, rigorous modeling. It's more like providing a first pass, an initial filter, a reality check.
Yeah.
And speaking of things that look simple on the outside but are actually incredibly complex underneath, surprise number 3, writing is the easy part.
Oh, I think I know where this is going.
Right. Week 1, I cranked out 4,000 words. One sitting. Felt like a writing god, you know. Week 2, spent literally 6 hours just making charts look pretty. Published at 3 a.m., not ideal. Week 3, debugged code for 4 hours straight. Pretty sure I forgot to eat that day. Week 4, I am literally writing this recap in an airport lounge because it's the only quiet time I have. It's madness. So the big lesson here for anyone doing analysis or content in this space is that the writing part, that's just the tiny tip of the iceberg. The real efficiency or inefficiency comes from mastering that invisible grind. The data prep, the visualization. Here's the actual time breakdown from this month, roughly. Data cleaning, 40%, easy. Making charts not completely suck, another 30%. Actual analysis, like figuring things out, maybe 20%. Writing, the actual words on the page, maybe 10%, if I was lucky. And explain to my PhD supervisor why I'm blogging instead of researching. Priceless. Truly.
That's a reality check many people can probably relate to. And not just in energy, that polished final thing, blog post, the research paper, whatever, it just hides so much back-end work. It really underscores the dedication, the unseen hours that go into things that might look simple. So what's your biggest time-saving hack then for those unseen tasks? Or is it just grinding it out?
Honestly, mostly grinding it out so far.
Right.
Crowdsourcing peer review, that's been incredible, which actually ties into what did work, but we'll get there. First, the really fun part, reader questions. These are direct from you, the listeners, the readers, and man, they reveal so much about what people are actually wrestling with. Okay, first up, why don't you just use Homer Pro like everyone else? Signed, anonymous, but definitely someone from Homer Pro sales. Right, my answer. Because Homer Pro, with all the modules you need, costs like $500 a month.
Yeah.
And I'm a student. My dinner is often instant noodles. $500. That's basically my food budget for the month. So, yeah. Next question from David K., who's an EPC contractor that's engineering, procurement, construction. He called me out. Your temperature assumptions seem optimistic. Nigeria is in California. David came in hot with the truth bombs.
Ouch. Okay.
And he's right. I use 25 degrees Celsius ambient temperature because, well, that's what the textbook says, right? Standard conditions, reality check. Lagos, Nigeria, at 2 p.m. It's more like 35 degrees C, in the shade. If you can even find shade, which no, often you can't. So yeah, updated the models, everything got worse, performance dropped. Thanks, David, really appreciate it. Then a bunch of data nerds asked, can you share the raw data from the NREL API calls? NREL is the National Renewable Energy Lab. And my answer was yes, but also no. Have you seen NREL's terms of service? They're legitimately longer than my PhD thesis proposal. It's insane.
But
I did offer the code, so you can pull your own data. Fair compromise, right?
seems reasonable.
Then this one, love the honesty. When are you covering hydrogen? This came from, like, multiple people who I suspect secretly hate me and want to watch me suffer. My answer, week 9, God help us all. Seriously, I know just enough about hydrogen to be dangerous and definitely not enough to be useful yet. It's going to be an absolute disaster. You'll love it. And finally, the kicker. My actual PhD supervisor, Dr. Stanley, asking very politely, is this blog part of your PhD research? My response, a very confident meet. Yes, sort of. It's the public engagement part. Remember we talked about knowledge dissemination? No. Okay, I'll send you an email. Awkward. And an uncomfortable truth I learned. Energy Twitter is wild. I posted one single thread about inverter failures and accidentally started a full-blown holy war between the string inverter camp and the central inverter camp. They are still fighting the replies. I've muted the thread for my own sanity.
Wow. Okay. These interactions, they really paint a picture, don't they? It's like this vibrant, sometimes really contentious discussion happening in the energy world, way more effectively than you'd see in a formal research paper. It really shows where the industry is grappling with things, assumptions, data, new tech. So how do you manage that? How do you balance encouraging open discussion and getting those real-world pain points out there without letting the blog just turn into an unmoderated free-for-all?
Yeah, that's exactly the tightrope walk, isn't it? Trying to be transparent, share the messiness, but still guide the conversation, keep it productive. But, amidst all that chaos of month 1, some things actually really worked, which was encouraging. For one, just being honest about failures. Remember that post about cloud transients messing up grid stability? That came directly from a project early in my career where we genuinely forgot to model clouds in Kano, Nigeria, during the Harmattan season, which is super dusty and hazy. We're very smart people, clearly. Yeah. Sharing that vulnerability, people connected with it, also sharing the messy data itself. I literally published my raw calculations, errors and all, just put it out there. The result, someone from Indonesia emailed me and fixed a time zone conversion bug I had. Someone else from Norway corrected my temperature coefficients for solar panels. It was like instant crowdsourced peer review. Absolutely incredible. And finally, just sharing short code snippets. Seems obvious now, but nobody wants to wade through a 500-line simulation model. They just want the 3 lines of code that actually do the important thing, the core calculation.
That really does highlight the power of being transparent and building that community aspect. It stops being just about solving your own problems, right? It becomes about building trust, accelerating that collective learning for everyone listening or reading. When you're open about the bumps in the road, share the process, warts and all, it just invites people in. It builds this robust kind of self-correcting knowledge base. So what are you thinking now? Any specific strategies to sort of lean into that community aspect even more?
Yeah. That's definitely something I'm thinking hard about, maybe more direct contribution methods, forums, something like that. Still figuring it out. And, while sharing our messy data led to these cool little crowdsourced wins, month 1 also delivered a pretty humbling reminder of the sheer scale and speed of change happening out there. In fact, there was this one piece of news. It genuinely made me stop, recalculate everything 3 times, and just go, whoa,
Yeah.
It's a glimpse of the future that's kind of already here. ACWA Power, the biggest Saudi developer, they dropped this announcement, 15,000 megawatts. 15,000 megawatts of new renewables in Saudi Arabia.
15,000, that's huge.
They're staggering. It's an $8.3 billion investment. And just to put that number, 15,000 million, into perspective for you, that is roughly the entire installed electricity generation capacity of Nigeria, the whole country.
Yeah.
And the cost they're hinting at, around $553 per kilowatt installed, which is seriously competitive globally. The timeline is maybe even crazier. They're aiming to have it operational between late 2027 and mid-2028, with financial close getting all the funding locked down targeted by Q3 2025, like next year.
That seems incredibly fast for that scale.
Right. This includes like 3 massive 3,000 milliW solar projects, 3 more 2,000 milliW solar, plus wind. But here's the part that really underscores the significance. It's ACWA Power partnering with Badil, that's the renewable arm of Saudi Arabia's public investment fund, the PIF, plus SEPCO, which is the power subsidiary of Saudi Aramco. Yes, that Aramco.
Okay, Aramco involved makes it even more significant.
Exactly. When Saudi Aramco commits this hard, this publicly to renewables, that sends a message that just echoes around the world. I mean, I've personally seen 50-megawatt projects take longer than that to reach financial closes. So either Saudi Arabia has figured out how to do project due diligence via WhatsApp, or someone, somewhere, is about to get a very expensive lesson in what optimistic timeline truly means. But what really excites me about this, despite the potential timeline craziness, first, just the speed. Financial close for 15 gigawatts by Q3 2025. That kind of aggressive target either completely revolutionizes how these massive projects get developed, or it teaches us some incredibly valuable lessons when it blows past deadlines. Either way, we learn something, right?
True. Forced learning.
Second, the integration challenge. Putting 15 GW onto the grid, that's going to be a masterclass in grid integration at scale. The solutions they have to develop will benefit everyone, eventually. Third, just the global signal it sends. Massive. And fourth, the innovation it forces. In construction, logistics, technology, we're going to see some firsts emerge from this, I guarantee it. Apparently, this project brings ACWA Power's total renewable portfolio to almost 52 gigawatts. That's not really a company anymore. That's basically a small country's worth of clean generation capacity. So while I'm over here modeling little 1-megawatt projects and debating decimal points on efficiency, these teams are literally reshaping entire energy systems. It's both incredibly humbling and weirdly inspiring. It feels like sometimes the future doesn't arrive in these nice, neat little increments. Sometimes it just arrives in these massive, messy leaps. This feels like one of those leaps.
Yeah, here's where it gets really interesting for the global energy transition, I think, because this isn't just another large project. It feels like, as you said, a paradigm shift for a major traditional energy player. So thinking beyond just the sheer scale and speed, what kind of broader policy changes or maybe technological advancements do you think will be forced by projects of this magnitude? And maybe what implications could that have for, say, developing nations that are also trying to scale up their own renewable infrastructure, but maybe without Aramco's backing?
That's a fascinating question. That forced innovation, the economies of scale they might achieve, yeah, hopefully that does trickle down globally. It needs to. So, okay, bring it back down to earth. How did month 1 actually shake out by the numbers? for little old third way energy, posts published. 4. And this recap barely counts, let's be honest. Total words written, over 18,000. What am I doing with my life? Cups of coffee consumed, 97, at least. Hours of sleep lost, all of them. Definitely all of them. Models built, 12. Models that actually worked properly the first time, maybe 3 times. I seriously questioned this whole decision. Daily, multiple times daily. Regrets so far, 0. But ask me again during month 2. And what's coming in month 2? Well, week 8 is next. Honestly, if I make it to week 8 in one piece, we might just celebrate with a post titled, Why Energy Professionals Secretly Have Drinking Problems. Kidding, mostly.
Well, those numbers, even presented humorously, they really do underscore the incredible dedication, the passion that's clearly involved in sharing all this, the knowledge, the struggles with you, the listener, in such a raw and honest way.
Yeah.
It's really a testament to the commitment behind the insights you're trying to provide here.
Thanks. Yeah, well, now for the real talk section, I guess. Look, we're all juggling impossible workloads in this energy sector. Everyone is stretched thin. The only difference here, I'm documenting my personal chaos publicly. You can think of it as like group therapy for energy professionals.
A valuable service.
Maybe. But here's the thing. The serious point. The energy transition. It is happening right now. Not in some mythical future when I finally have free time or when the miles are perfect. It's happening now. And every week, I don't share something I'm learning, some mistake I made. That's potentially a week. Someone else goes and makes the same mistake. Every data set I hoard because it's not perfect yet. That's a missed opportunity for us all to move forward collectively. So yeah, I'm tired. My coffee budget has definitely exceeded my food budget this month. My supervisor probably thinks I'm completely distracted. My actual employer, well, they don't know about this blog yet. Shh. But you know what? In this first chaotic month, 1,847 of you read the blog. 1,847 people. That's potentially 1,847 people who might build slightly better systems, maybe avoid one of my mistakes, or who might call out my BS next time. And honestly, that feels worth a few sleepless nights.
That really encapsulates the whole value proposition, doesn't it? Knowledge is just most valuable when it's actually understood, shared, and applied. And this kind of transparency, showing the learning process itself, that's such a vital part of accelerating progress in a field that desperately, desperately needs it. It fosters that collaborative space for you, the listener, to really engage and learn alongside.
Exactly. So after hearing about the absolute roller coaster that was month 1 of Third Way Energy, what surprised you this month? In your own work, your own learning? What topics should I maybe try to tackle next? What did I get completely wrong? Besides, probably everything. Chat. Drop a comment on the site, send me an email, tweet at me, whatever works. Just please don't ask about hydrogen yet. I'm just not emotionally ready for that deep dive. Next week, though, get ready for the biomass paradox. Why we're literally burning money in fields. Seriously. Including a bit on why rice mills are basically sitting on gold mines they're often too busy to even notice. Should be interesting. Oh, and final note, to the 3 amazing people who actually sent me coffee money via the blog, you are the real MVPs. I promise it was immediately converted into actual caffeine and consumed while debugging Python code at 2 a.m. Your donations literally power this newsletter. Thank you. PPS. If you spot typos in the blog post, yeah, it's probably because I edited it on my phone in the back of a taxi. I'm probably not going to fix them. We had character, right?
Right. So as we wrap up, reflecting on this blend of admitted chaos and real progress from this first month, and thinking about those massive leaps like the Saudi project we discussed, maybe a final thought for you listening. What massive leaps are you seeing, or maybe hoping for, in your own field, your own interest, and perhaps more importantly, what small, maybe even slightly chaotic steps could you take to contribute towards them?